All right, folks, you know, the holy month is 11 days old, so we say Ramadan Kareem. Welcome. Today is a Thursday. I'm sitting in. Don't ask me who for. I am Citizen Jones, and today on the program, we quickly tell you what we have on the cards. Senator Lawan says Senate presidency not do or die affair. And we'll tell you court nullifies appointment of new emirs in Kano, others return to status quo, and later on, Emefiele confirmed for another 5-year term, predicts tough times ahead for Nigerians. I'll be hanging out with Martin Zoloja is here. Martins, I greet you.
Thank you.
Welcome. There's also Adekunle Yusuf.
I'm glad to be.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
And I greet Asukwa James. Welcome.
Thanks for having
That's only them. So the team is ready. I hope you are. You know, an ancient quote comes to mind here. A man's worth is no greater than his ambition. Simply put, the quotation means that without an ambition, man would be nothing. Don't just be a man of success, rather be a man of value. Senate presidency hopeful Ahmed Lawan says, rather than be a rubber stamp Senate president, he would remain a floor member. For him, a National Assembly that works for Nigerians is his ultimate dream. If he cannot nick the job of running the bipartisan legislature that works harmoniously with the executive arm, so be it. It's not a do or die affair. Ambition is not dirty. A vaulting ambition is. Asukwa. Being ambitious cannot be a bad thing.
No, it's not.
But when you are over-ambitious, Lawan is telling us something.
Yes, exactly. And from the kind of person that Lawan is, it doesn't look like somebody who is over-ambitious. You know, he has been going around doing his own campaign, you know, and trying to, you know, woo even the opposition party to his side, and, you know, trying to tell them that it is not all about me, but it is about Nigeria. And he has been able to, you know, cut so many people, so many opposition. I remember one of the press conferences that I went in Lagos, and I saw Ifeanyi Uba. I was surprised. You know, I actually asked that question if he was now a member of the APC. He said no, that he is actually here to, you know, make sure that everything is about Nigeria. And he feels that Lawan, who actually lobbied, you know, talked to him, expressed why he wants to be the Senate president, actually, you know, spoke with him and told him a lot of things and how he wants to move Nigeria forward if he becomes the Senate president. And that was why he, you know, decided to, you know, tag along with him. And he has been going around. Even yesterday, he was part of the meetings when he had actually breakfast with, you know, some members-elect. So Lawan is trying to let Nigerians know that he's not just going to be a rubber stamp, but he's not going to be a rubber stamp, sorry, and he's not going to be the executive tool, you know, to do anything, you know, that the executive will use at their own whims and caprices. No. But everything is going to be based on Nigeria first, not him as Lawan, and not even the party. Even if you look at it, Lawan actually started initiating the moves to become the Senate president before the party actually said they wanted him to be the Senate president, you know, as their own candidate.
But, you know, the first time around, it was him that was tipped, if you remember.
Yeah, it was tipped, but he had already started the moves. You know, this is not the first time he had made this move to become the Senate president, you know. Even when Bukola Saraki actually made that move, he was tipped alongside George Akume and the rest. And there was a ballot, you know, a secret ballot then, behind the public gear, where he was actually tipped. But when he lost out from the whole thing, he didn't go all arms.
Yeah.
You know, he decided to, you know, take whatever comes to him, and eventually look at where he landed. If
you like, by this time. Martins, you want to trust him this time around?
Well, it's not about trusting him. I am not a member of the...
I haven't said so.
Of the cabal.
No, it's not. Oh, come on. Here we go again.
It's their own kind of The National Assembly, the caucus selling him. Well, you know, as Suko said, it's not a new aspirant. Just as we discussed this here the other day, you know, it's not a media affair. He's beginning to speak as an aspirant. Now, it's very good that he's speaking as an aspirant, not just as a nominee of the party. Because, you know, as I noted...
So the language is changing?
Yes, changing. There's power in the word that you use at this time. Because, you know, the media is no longer like it used to be. The social media is ahead of everybody. Whatever you say secretly or you say whatever, the way you say it before you know it is out of hand. You can't manage it. So the way he is beginning to speak as an aspirant and as a senator, not as somebody who has been supported by the party, because at the end of the day, this thing will be decided by only 109 members of the Senate. Yeah. And now he needs to get the support of certain number before he can talk of being Senate president. It's not about a party. The president may have nominated him, the party may have nominated him. He needs to, the word he used, lobby, because that is the parliamentary language. And it is not done in the media the way they were doing it, that, oh, the party has supported this, everybody must keep. No, it is not done like that. The way he is talking now, lobbying quietly to get the support, because you do not know what they have decided. Some of the decisions they have taken may not have...
who are these they?
The members, the senators, senators elect.
I wanted to be...
Yes. Yeah. These are the people who will decide. And, you know, the majesty of democracy I have been talking about is enhanced by the principle of separation of powers. You know, the executive arm, the president of the Senate is third, according to the order of national president. Yeah. Is number 3 citizen. And that person will be elected the day the National Assembly is proclaimed. It's the first function. So the way somebody will have to nominate, and when somebody nominates like that, it is nowhere in the law they say it is the ruling party.
No.
It's conventional.
No. Yeah.
It's conventional that the ruling party will have to do this thing. And the ruling party will put its house in order through caucus meetings. And it is not debated in the media the way they do this thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You understand? But the way he is conducting himself now, speaking as somebody who will not be used, who will not be a studio of the executive arm, is good for him. And he continues like that.
And for
it's
the country.
Not about my support.
And for the country at large.
Yeah, and for the country at large.
Yusuf, how do you open?
I think I aligned with what Martin just said, because I think somebody must have, you know, reviewed the state of things and, you know, suggested that, come on, your perception is about this angle. Why don't you address it? You know, Lawan, as far as I'm concerned, is a competent guy to be a Senate president, but the Senate president will not be decided just by the caucus or political party, because you are not going to be there for that political party. You are going to be there for Nigeria. You know, when you look at some point, when you look at Lawan, you know, any little crisis is always frequenting that sort of. There's nothing bad in going there anyway, but don't let it, you know, don't let your public perception, you know, revolve around rubber stamp, you know, always willing to kowtow to the presidency, to the executive. At some level, the legislative independence must be asserted. Yeah. It is in the interest of Nigeria. Nobody is speaking for any party now. So now, with what he's doing now, that, come on, I'm not going to be a rubber stamp. I would rather be a floor member. That's very good. And, of course, talk is cheap. You need to demonstrate, you know, through actions.
Yes.
So
what I've talk seen... will always be cheap because the supply is great.
Okay. Yeah. So now you need to prove to members that we vote, because whatever we say, we can only do the talking. Yeah. We don't have, you know, what it takes.
You don't have a vote. I don't have.
So, no, exactly. I love this position that, you know, at the time when, in 2015, when the whole thing happened, it wasn't one of those, you know, they were fighting at some point, but it wasn't one of those throwing chairs, you know, destroying things and, you know. he was always...
That's more like saying, keep the eye on the ball.
He was always a very cool, calm, and collected guy, even though some people around him were the ones throwing chairs because they didn't get... At the end of the day, things calmed down. And eventually, he became what the party later, the party later rallied around and said, okay, well, if you can't get this, let him have the Senate leader. By that time, our man from, Borno, Senator Ali Ndume had become the Senate leader. But as things will do it, time, explained the whole thing, and he became, Senate leader eventually.
Okay.
And since that time, there hasn't been any scandal to the best of my knowledge, which is very good for him. So I see him as a good candidate now, unlike before.
Asuquo, we have just mentioned Ali Ndume. You think the challenge from Ali has gone down?
Well, as of last week, Ali Ndume is still in the race, you know, and Guje too is also still in the race. So they are a big challenge to him because they are all in the same. They are all in the same political party.
The same zone.
The same zone too, and the opposition. Don't forget, they are also waiting. The APC does not have the full, the numbers that will say if one particular person...
It's a simple majority.
Even that's simple, they don't even have it. So what one particular person will need is the combination of the opposition party as well as their own party. But as it stands now, if Ali Ndume is not appealed to for him to step down, or Guje appealed to, and they all go there, and the PDP, although they are saying that they are not bringing, but I know there's no how they won't be talking to any of the other two. I know they will be talking to one of the other two for them to become renegades for the political party. That's for the APC.
But you remember, as a big man said many, many years ago, in politics, stupidity is not a handicap.
It's not because, that was what happened 4 years ago, when they were thinking that it won't happen. But eventually it happened.
So, but you don't see thunder striking twice?
It can strike twice.
Or thrice?
It can't. It can't. So that is the best thing is for the APC, because it's like they have left the whole thing. They have left it, you know.
Yeah.
That is, I like the way Lawan is going about lobbying and doing his stuff. He's not using the party to move. He's using himself as Ahmed Lawan to lobby other senators. So it is now left for the other political parties or the people he's lobbying to, listen to his own ideas and see how they can, better themselves as well as the country, because his offense is for themselves before the country anyway.
All right, folks, we must go on this break. We'll come back. Please don't go away. Okay, then, we'll keep it going. Senator Ahmed Lawan says aspiring to be Senate president is not a do-or-die affair, and that's what we are broaching. Gentlemen, Martins, in politics, 2 times 2 is 22.
Yeah.
It's like 2 plus 2, 22.
22.
Not 4.
Yes.
So anything is possible.
Anything is possible. As I said, 109 members, when they want to take this decision, but it's not likely to be about APC or PDP. It's about their own, what we can call parliamentary interest. Now, their interest, how they will get their independence, somebody who can assert the independence of the legislature, given their experience in the last 4 years, somebody who can stand for them, somebody who will not just betray them. And most of the things we see, we don't know what the opposition has strength, as Asuquo has said. The opposition has strength at this juncture.
What it has up its sleeves.
Yes, we don't know.
We don't know.
There is still no art to find the mind's construction
on the face.
At the face. So we don't know what they are doing. So lobbying that they are doing, we cannot have all the details. Unless you have good political correspondent who can penetrate what they are doing. You get some of the things that
pick their brains.
Pick their brains, what they are doing in the night. It's not in the daytime.
Yeah, well, of course, you know, politicians
they don't sleep.
they sleep in the daytime. Adekunle, mine is, at this point, you expect the seat of power to be an interested party.
You mean the presidency?
Yeah, the presidency.
Yeah, in a good democracy, that is true, but it shouldn't be done openly.
Oh.
No.
And except, let me land. The way
You know why I asked? Sorry, because the first time around it was said because the number one and by extension the presidency was not interested. And so much water went under the bridge.
Up to today, the president has never spoken a word about any particular candidate. He may be present in certain meetings, but you won't see him say anything about anybody. You understand me? It's the party that has been pushing the candidature.
No, I'm not.
But now,
hold on, I'm not stopping you. Experience is very, very important. You know, go back to 1999. During Obasanjo's presidency, 5 Senate presidents in 7 years was not something you wanted.
Well, let me finish with this APC. Let me finish before we go back into history. You see, the way Lawan is going now is good for him. I don't want him to be seen as a candidate of the party. It won't work.
Okay.
If he goes into that election as the candidate of the party, I can bet it. He's going to lose. Because senators don't care about such things. When they get to Abuja, as Martin said, they don't know APC again. They don't know anything called PDP again. They see themselves like family members. Then one thing is extremely important to them, and that is independence of that arm of government. They don't want anybody. You see, look at the narratives all over the years. You know, even when the executive has not done very well, they still put the blame on the National Assembly. That is the most important arm of government.
Okay.
You see,
it's the engine room.
You see the executive members of the executive arm of government, you know, criticizing, running abuses on the legislature. For example, look at the budget. Most times, they will do budget. You will imagine who did this with a lot of loopholes. At the end of the day, people should come and defend their budget. Many people will not come, but even the media is not interested in that. They will come around, and they turn around and blame the legislature. Believe me, sometimes we are unfair to that arm of government. We are not saying they cannot do better, but in most cases, the work they do, you know, you expect other arms of government to cooperate and assist them.
All right, gentlemen, we must pass over, as they say, let the debate continue. But, gentlemen, one thing we must all agree is this. While the National Assembly would exercise its independence, it must not be independent of the country. Am I making sense?
It must be in the interest of
the country.
In the
It must be in public interest.
Okay, then. So we move on. You know, in the Second Republic, late governor of Kano State, you remember him, Mohammed Abubakar Rimi, had a tiff with then Emir Alhaji Ado Bayero. He said, the governor said then that the Emir of Kano was nothing but a public servant paid from the public purse and who can be removed, interdicted, or suspended without qualms. Now, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje's running battle with the Emir of Kano today, that's Muhammadu Sanusi II, came to an implacable head when the former decided to split the emirate with the appointment and installation of 4 new emirs. A Kano State High Court on Wednesday declared the appointments and installations a nullity. The status quo has been consequently ordered, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. Asokwa, we've been here before.
Yes, we've been here before, and but this time around, the governor seemed to be trying to see how he can
Ruffle feathers.
Yes, ruffle feathers, and then make sure that everything works out well and it doesn't look like before, you know. And that was why, if you notice, that Friday, he made sure that the letters given of appointment and installation of the emirs were given. and then the next day, he
The
tried
staff.
to make sure that he gave the staff of office to the emirs. And he was able to do that. The order actually came, because from what I have been able to gather, if the order actually came and then they didn't pass the order, the ex parte order to the accused, which is the governor as well as the attorney general, it means the governor was right. But with this, with the way things are happening, I don't know how it's going to pan out, eventually. But from all indication, it seems the governor is going to scale through this with the way it's going. I'm not preempting, but since the court has, I would not like saying things that are already in the court, on the program. But as it stands now, if the order was not given,
except for me, you are thinking aloud.
Yes, if the governor was not given or was not served the paper, the ex parte order papers, on that Friday, which the order was made, the governor has every right to say, I'm removing, because the Constitution gives the governor the right to install an emir or not, to split or do whatever, or to balkanize, because that is the biggest word they are using now, to balkanize the Emirates, based on how he wants it. So the governor is in the right position right now.
Okay, Martins Adekunle, we must make some money. Commercials here. So we go for them and come back. Okay. Please stay. Okay, Martins, we are on you now. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
You're seeing the picture.
Yes, I've seen the picture in Kano, and this thing, I still refer to this majesty of democracy, that there's this freedom to challenge the authority of any executive or even the judiciary itself, that in a democracy, years ago, we couldn't have come to this kind of place to be discussing what a governor or one executive officer had done before this democracy. We thank God for the majesty of democracy, where authorities can be challenged. But this governor, as Asuko said, this governor had done something that he will even be proud of. One, by going to the state legislature to legalize what he did. So the order of the court is against what the state legislature had done. And he claimed that the order did not come before the installation. They said there was a court order that he hadn't received, and he didn't receive it. All those ones will be argued in court. Because the Attorney General was also saying in court yesterday that this court order, injunction and anything is against something that had been done, and that the chiefs had taken office, they are in office, they are there before the order came, that this one will be argued in June. But in this instance, the governor, having gone to the state legislature, and he has armed himself with the law to do what he has done. And that one will be argued in court. But the opportunity to argue it, the opportunity for minorities and people who didn't agree with him to go to court is what I call the majesty of democracy that we should celebrate. That freedom, that audacity to do that is something we should all celebrate and be argued in court.
There's one proverb in my Ibibio country. Yeah. It says, say you carry me knack for ground, no means say fight don't finish.
Yes.
But Yusuf, getting to you, I'm sorry, I had to bring that in.
Yes.
Because the more you look,
the less you see.
In Nigerian politics, it could be a little different. You see, the popular thing is to talk about the Ides of March. We are looking at the Ides of May, and no less a personality than the Emir of Kano. You don't see him fighting back?
How does he fight back?
I started by reminding you that we had been here before. I took you to the Second Republic, Rimi against Ado Bayero.
You see, well, I don't know how Emir Sanusi can fight back, but I believe the governor shouldn't celebrate yet. What he did, so it's true he went to the State House of Assembly, believe me, I feel ashamed of all of the people in that House of Assembly, because in Nigeria, we know even the best ideas with the best intentions, we know the normal route it will take to get things done. We know the normal bureaucratic, bottlenecks you have to skate through. But in Nigeria, thanks to new, democratic hypocrites we now have now, things can be done in hours, including passing a bill of that nature. Believe me, it shows the kind of people we send to the State House of Assemblies. And I want to believe this is another clear example that what we have as State Houses of Assembly in Nigeria are just mere rubber stamps, of our governors. Yeah. But leave that aside. Don't tell me that a court said, don't do this.
Maintain the status quo.
Don't do this. Don't do this. And that news is all over the world. We are not talking about Nigeria of 20 years ago. We are talking about a Nigeria where just one action now, in the next 5 minutes, you can see it all over the world. You know what happens. And when people were already discussing that court thing, you now came out to say, you have taken the action, you have done this. Fine, the court will help us in all of this. But what I know is that what we are doing, whether we like it or not, we are creating history. What is happening today, many years after Ganduje, many years after Emir Sanusi,
many years down the line,
people will go back and be interpreting all of this, that our personal, issues with one another can lead to
will affect
balkanization
of an emirate.
You don't know. You don't know.
Century old.
Worldwide. You don't know the history of Kano. You can only have another one in Sokoto. There's no other place. You understand me? For you to tamper with that, beautiful history, you have to think twice. Because how old is Sanusi? How many years does he have, to stay on the throne? Believe me, there is a lot we lose when we do things to satisfy our whims and caprices, as it's being done now.
Asukwa, let 4 kingmakers with traditional legal powers to appoint emirs have distanced themselves. You don't see this as doing a little something to the scenario?
My former boss will say, I will say the courts are always open. So anybody has the right to always go to the court, and that is what they've done. The kingmakers, yes, they feel that the governor should have come to them, because they are kingmakers, to consult, and as well as, not that they are angry about the emirates, the creation of the emirates. They are angry that they were not consulted on who is going to be the emir of those emirates. You understand? Not that, you understand what I mean? They are okay with what the governor, but they were not consulted on who is going to be the emir.
So why are they distancing themselves?
They will distance themselves because they were not consulted. If I'm a kingmaker and somebody does...
Azuko, you are trying to...
No,
you are speaking for them. That's not what they said.
See, that is it.
They are not happy with what is happening.
Oh, that is what they are saying. That is what they are not.
They are not.
With the way you are interpreting them...
The kingmakers, they said they were not consulted.
Governors don't coronate anybody. In most... cultures that I know.
They don't coordinate, and then they are also giving the king's staff of office.
Wait. There are always kingmakers. There are always kingmakers. There are certain rights you pass through if it's Yoruba, but we are not talking about Yoruba. Even in Kano, there are kingmakers. And after passing through that process, they make recommendations, usually more than one, and from that, the governor picks. Even the process that led to, Emir Sanusi's, emergence was the same process.
Yusuf, it's the same thing that we are saying now. They were not consulted. That is what they are saying.
It's not about consulting.
They were not consulted.
Oloja,
Yes.
Please quickly take us to Ibadan. We can rub it in. What Governor Ajimobi attempted to do? Go there.
You know what he attempted to do?
Can you draw a parallel?
He did not actually legalize it the way this one was legalized.
Okay.
He did not go to the state assembly to state his own reasons for this and that, to put it in a paper. And I said that it's a law from the state assembly. So that was why I was talking about the law. Okay. And even what he was talking about, that the news was all over the world. What Adekunle was talking about, the news was all over the world. News all over the world about you is not the same thing as you receiving a paper. That is why sometimes they return to court to talk about substituted service. So if you haven't received something, even if there has been a record, you cannot rely on newspaper report or social media report. You know, these are loopholes.
Yes, let me add. That is why even when you go to the court, that is why even when you go to the court, they will tell you, okay, fine, go back, go and paste it on his wall or put it in his newspaper, so that he will see it. There is a newsroom. That is what
we are explaining processes. It's not. You see, the issue is that
we are bound by time.
Yeah, okay.
The director says we must pass over.
Oh, okay.
So, but then let the debate continue.
It continues.
You may or you may not like it. The coming days, very, very interesting. I can't wait. You know, the disquiet about a second term for CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele ebbed earlier on today when the Senate cleared the incumbent to continue in office for 5 more years. Congratulations, Mr. Governor. While facing the Senate Committee on Banking for screening, the governor of the central bank now asked Nigerians to gird their loins, as they say, because according to him, the road ahead is promising.
It's rocky.
But we must be ready for rough times. Again, we've been there before.
Yes.
What do I mean? That the road ahead is rough has been here for moons and moons.
Of course,
moons and moons.
The road has never been smooth.
The thing is, since I became knowledgeable, or I became an adult.
Since you started paying tax.
Okay, good. I've been hearing that things will be better in Nigeria. That is what I've been hearing. I remember even when Obasanjo came in 1999, he was saying we should tighten our belt and things will be better. After 1999, 2000, like that, things have never been better. We've always been going from one issue to the other.
Remember SAP riots?
And all that, Yeah. So it is just like that. So whatever he's saying now is not new. But I'm happy because even the president also, even when he was signing the minimum wage, he told us that things will be tough too. So tough times are ahead. It's just like a normal cliche now, So I am not, surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not too surprised about those words. But I'm happy for him that they have made him the governor, for him to sustain what he has started. Because I've seen a couple of things that he has been able to do, especially when we thought that we are going to remain neck deep in recession. He was able to bring us out and then able to stabilize, the naira with the greenback, which is the dollar, So he has been able to do all those things. But the tough times is we don't know how long, which I think that is what the Senate committee would have asked him. How long will this tough time last? He was always, from the investigation during the, the panel, he was blaming Nigerians, in terms of the economic sabotage and all that. But it is more than that. If everybody if there are like 1,000,001 things for people to invest in and for people to make money and live comfortably, people will not go. I'm not supporting crime, but people will not want to cut corners, and that is why this present government will have to, intensify its effort in trying to ensure that everything that they need to do in terms of their policies, they make sure that it is to the letter. If they are going to fight corruption, it shouldn't be selective. It must be to the letter. If they are going to, provide electricity, which I think is the most important.
It's key.
They have to make sure that make sure that everybody has electricity so that people will be able to, invest. If they need to create jobs, let them create jobs. Like the governor of Central Bank was saying, that, okay, they have invested more in the Anchor's Borers program in rice. I've seen so many people, rice farmers, who have become billionaires. Now he's thinking of diversifying into palm oil, then later cocoa. So he has to have a timeline for all these things, so that if I need to go back to my village where my great-grandfather has a plantation of palm trees, I can invest in it and become a billionaire.
We'll come back to that. But Martins, you see, we must not gloss over what the CBN governor said regarding fifth columnists trying to sabotage whatever gains they have made. But mine is, his statement suggests to me that he knows them. Why leave them?
Okay, you see, whatever the CBN governor has said, he made so many profound statements with data, with everything. But it's still a fallout of some systemic failure in the last few years, because his is normally monetary policy and not fiscal policy. He spoke extensively about fiscal policies of government. It is failure in that department that made him to be making these statements. I want to see that whatever he has said, very profound, but they are just pieces of information for the people who have the responsibility to run this country, and specifically the finance ministry, the finance minister. These are supposed to be his own pronouncements in the parliamentary debate session. Maybe they invited him. It's not the responsibility of the CBN governor. We can give him some credit now that he has been even an economic, as we described it, economic personality in the last few years in Nigeria, that you will see when certain things collapsed. Fiscal policy, you will not find it will be coming from all these uncle borrower or all those things like that. We are not supposed to know the details from the CBN governor, from the central bank governor. Yes. His own is monetary policy, stabilization of interest rates, and so many of such things. Yeah. What he has said, projection is very good. I would even want to use this opportunity to say the way the Senate grilled him is very good for the system, but they should move to the next level. When the president himself will be nominating ministers very soon, he should indicate the portfolio he is nominating people for, so that when they are grilling people to run the affairs of this country, they know. That's just some diversion which will be useful at this juncture. But what
hold it.
The projection.
Hold on.
Okay.
The trouble with making money is you always want to make more. Yeah. Let's take another commercial.
Good.
And we'll be back.
Yeah, I want to finish that.
Okay, then, welcome back. No longer news. Mr. Governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, has nicked a second term in office, so he has 5 years ahead. But addressing the Senate Committee on Banking and so on, yesterday he talked about palm oil. Yusuf, I'm with you now. Palm oil. Okay, were you done?
I was trying to finish something that, he provided some data. He looked into the seed of time and said, look, by 2050, from projections we have had, Nigeria will be 425 million, largest
on the planet.
Yes, a populous nation on earth, after China and India, by 2050. So he already warned us that with this population explosion, there should be some economic policies that should be able to take care of the population, lest we'll have more insecurity, we'll have more problems than we have now. He provided pieces of information for people who run this country to arm themselves with such pieces of information.
Remember, we used to have the 5 or so year development plan.
Yeah, development plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely, it doesn't. But it is not the responsibility of the CBN governor to do that. He himself only provided, when they asked him some questions, he had to go into history, where we were, where we are now, and where we are going to prepare for the rainy day.
Yusuf, let's quickly go there. In the 60s and early 70s, we were the world's largest producer of palm oil. That's not in dispute. And I hear people are contesting the question of Malaysia coming here to take seedlings. And today we are importing palm oil from them is a crying shame. And the CBN governor is saying, go back there. Yusuf, so that you can have quite a lot to talk about. You know, the byproducts of palm oil include cosmetics, ice cream, bread,
So many things.
petrol, and so on and so on. See what you have done? We have done to ourselves.
We've done a lot to ourselves, more than the palm oil that you are talking about. What of cocoa? You can name, what of groundnut oil?
We are not.
We can name so many things.
Rubber.
When you look at the value chains you can get, but now, what are we having? Even our petrol, the crude oil that we have here.
You know the byproducts, byproducts of
where do we go?
crude, which you import, the byproducts don't come.
Where do we go?
It's just the
petrol.
That's PMS.
So it shows the kind of leadership that we have in our country, or we have been having in our country. Totally visionless set of leadership. Because, ask me, how many years does it take, for example, petrol, to build a refinery? If you don't have the cash, you can borrow. For development, you can always borrow.
We are waiting for
But
that.
also remember
Because
that from 1999, I'm sure all of us can say yes to that, many licenses were given for people, private licenses to build refineries. I haven't seen any, including my state.
There is a reason for that. The government has not taken its hand off that sector because of price. You can't tell me to produce this thing and come and sell it at a loss. I wouldn't come. That explains that. But when you go back to the issue at hand, look at the rise, you know, the noise about rise and their success and everything. I tell people, don't we think again in Nigeria? If you have done so well in this, the price in the market will be the best evidence.
Yeah, but
today, I'm coming.
Yes, at that point, you are dealing with market forces.
Wait, if you have produced so much, the law of demand and supply is not like you and I.
Okay.
You understand me? It's not wicked. It's based only one law, that the more you have, the less the price.
Yeah, rounding off, please.
The less you have, the higher the price. If you are not doing that, how much of success have we recorded in that aspect? Now you are telling me about palm oil, when I've not seen any tangible thing recorded in what you are celebrating. How would I believe you? The CBN can say whatever. Believe me, I am not excited by the second term of Governor Emefiele, not because I don't like him, not because I hate him.
But because you like him.
Because what has happened in our economy in the last few years is enough to make me, lose,
now
you are telling me that
none of us, we are all journalists, we are media men, but listen,
if you
don't produce,
we know.
If you don't produce, you can't make money.
It's not, I don't envy the job of a CBN governor, because he doesn't run the country. Let's be honest with him. He does not run the country. He can do a lot of help, but despite the fact that he can do a lot of help, the buck stops and at the table of the man that runs the country.
Martins, how do you close?
No, definitely. Well, I wanted to say that, there's usually so much pressure on the CBN governor because of what he is saying. The political leadership needs to take some cue to say that so many things that the CBN governor has been shouldering should have been something from the government of the day and not the CBN, because the CBN is an institution that is cut out for a specific function, monetary policy. But as we are now asking him to take responsibility for fiscal policies, that is not how we are going to get to manage our 425 million population by 2050.
Come on, don't tell me you are not producing children anymore. So, Asuko, how do you take it on?
I don't want to be like Yusuf, that is a bit pessimistic about him. But I want to believe he has done so well. And just like Martin said, the CBN should be thinking about the macroeconomics of the country and shouldn't be thinking about the micro, which is the lower form. It is left for once the president or the administration have their own policies, the trader money and all that, the CBN should not be involved in that.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Let the presidency or whoever is involved, let them
federal government, yeah.
let them be thinking about
Finance
that.
minister.
Not all these anchor borrowers. It shouldn't be the CBN's work.
Okay.
But Emefiele has brought it,
Yeah.
and he wants to sustain it, but we should be thinking of something more. He has given out a frightening figure about 425 million.
Essentially, the country must think seriously and now
Yes.
about producing.
Exactly.
Produce.
And development plans.
Okay, Adekunle Yusuf, you must close. We must go on. But let's thank you for your time. Martin Zoloja, we thank you for your time.
Always glad to be here.
And Asukwa James,
Thank you so much.
it can get better.
No, it will.
It can. It can.
The conversation continues.
Yes.
And the conversation continues
Yeah, I
tomorrow.
trust you.
But that will just about do it for today. And you can watch the program on other platforms we'll show you on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel is the same. One more time, Ramadan Kareem. Think Nigeria while you fast and pray. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now.